Hello. Okay, so this is a little bit of a throwback video. This is designed for the Digidesign DControl control surfaces that are still out there. There's a lot of them out there. This console was made by Digidesign in the early 2000s, and just recently I came across someone who has one, and I was trying to remember how to use it, and I had to force myself to do it, and I decided I'll create a little video to show custom faders on the Digidesign DControl console. Hopefully this is helpful, and there you have it. It's rough, but hopefully it's helpful. This is custom faders, creating groups of tracks that may not be part of a track group that already exists. They're just tracks that you want to be able to access together in one button press. I'll hit the custom fader button. My 8 channels are in custom fader mode, and there's nothing there because I haven't assigned anything. So all I need to do to add tracks is hit the edit button in the bank select for the number 1 custom fader group. And then I can go over to my other faders and just press the select button on any of the tracks that I want to add. So I'll bank through and I'll add this one and that one. Oops. And that one and this one. And as I press the select button, it will populate this bank, and I'll hit edit twice and I can name it. I'll call it whoops, I gotta click in the screen. John 1. And there I can access that with one button press, right? So I can create another one. I'll hit number 2, edit, and then bank through the tracks in the session and select the tracks that I want to add by pressing the select button. And they will be placed in this group in the sequence that I press the button. They're not limited to the left-right position that they live in on the session. So I can add them in any order that I want. Bank through, find another track, and I can add as many as I want. Double press edit, and I can name it. I'll call it John 2. All right, so this is cool. Now, if I want to access these groups, I can have up to 48 custom fader groups in a session, and it's really easy to access them. Of course, the first 12 are accessible right here from the bank select section. There's number 1, there's number 2, but if I want to see the names that I've created on those, I can go over to the soft keys section, hit the bank select button, and I can see the groups that I've created. Here's the first one, I can select that, or the second one. Here's the third one that doesn't have any tracks in it yet. And that's one way to access those. And of course, if I want to get to the next bank of 6, just hit that bank select button and it will take me all the way through. And you can see that I can have up to 48 custom fader groups. The other way to do it, similar to groups, is just hold and press and hold the customs button until it blinks. You'll see those groups appear on where the pan knobs actually live, and there's John 1, John 2, custom, right? And I can access them from there. It's showing me that custom fader number 3 is currently selected. It has no tracks selected in it, but I'll go to number 2. And there's the group that we created just a second ago. So this is a way to create groups of tracks, access them with a single button press in any sequence or track collection that you want. Groups, we're going to cover groups in this one. This allows me to access any of the track groups that I've created within the session. By hitting this button, it will pull up those group members on this bank of custom faders. Custom faders is designated by the blue LED. I've currently got only 8 faders set up for my custom faders. I could make it 16 or more if I wanted, if I have more faders on my console. All right, so currently I'm looking at group 4 in this bank of custom faders. How do I access the other groups that I've created within the session? I can do that in the bank select area by hitting number 1. That's the all group. Every session has an all group. Number 2 is the next session, next group that I've created. In this case, group 1 is its name. Group 2, group 3, group 4 are all accessible from there. And of course, I have up to 12 groups here. If I have more groups, and I want to access those, or maybe just access them in a little more convenient manner, I can go over to the soft keys section and hit the bank select button, and all of the groups that I've created in the session will appear here in the soft keys. So here's my all group, group 2, group 1, group 2, group 3, group 4, and by hitting any one of those buttons, it will recall that group into my custom faders. If I have more than 6 groups in the session, I can bank through to the next bank of 6 by hitting the bank select button again and again. It will take me through the entire list of the groups that I've created within the session. Yet another way to do this is with the groups button again. Just press and hold until it starts blinking, and then I will see all of the groups on the pots or the knobs above the custom faders, and it's a little bit hard to see with the glare there, but you can see all the way to the left is the all group, then group 1, group 2, group 3, group 4. What's cool about this section is I can not only recall which group I want to appear on the faders, but I can also enable or disable a group from here by hitting the BMP button under the corresponding groups. And I really like to do this because I will enable or disable groups quite frequently. The select button will show me which group is currently on my faders, and if I select another one, it will recall those faders onto my custom faders. So very cool way to navigate sessions and pull up the groups right up to your custom faders. The next custom fader button in line here is called Masters. On the older versions of the blue DControls, later it was relabeled to be Tracks, and hitting this Masters button will take you to different tracks filtering basically. So bank select number 1 is your master faders. Number 2 is audio tracks, and of course if there's more than 8 audio tracks in the session, you can bank through those using the bank cycle button here. Number 3 is going to bring up aux tracks, any aux tracks that exist in the session. Number 4 is going to bring up, instrument tracks. 5 and 6 is going to bring up VCAs, which I have 4 of in this session, and from here I can spill the members of these VCAs by hitting this bypass mute button, which was later renamed to be bypass spill on later versions of the DControl console. But I'll hit this button and it will get me to the members of that VCA group that I selected, and I can cycle through those back and forth. And of course I can get out of that by hitting that button, and I can go back into it. Masters, there's my VCAs again. If I want to see the members of VCA number 4, I'll hit the bypass mute button on that track, and it will bring up the members of that group. So this is a really great way to access any track in the session, as long as you make sure that all tracks are assigned to a VCA master fader, a group, and of course a VCA master fader. So this will allow you to get to just about any track within 2-3 button presses at most. Regardless of how large the session is, very cool feature. All right, last but not least on the custom fader buttons is plugin, and this allows you to easily map plugin parameters from the knobs up above down to faders. So for example, I've focused audio 5, it has an EQ plugin on it. I'll hit plugin. My 8 custom faders will go dark because I have not mapped these yet. Map button is enabled, and now I just designate what fader I want what parameter to land on. So I've hit select on the first custom fader, and I'll go up here in low frequency. In the second fader, I'll touch low gain. Oops, got to hit the button first. There we go. And then select low mid frequencies, the next one low mid frequency gain, the next one will be high mid frequencies, and the next one high mid frequency gain. This one will be high frequency and high frequency gain. So I've got frequency gain, frequency gain, frequency gain on 4 different bands of the EQ37 band, so it allows me to easily adjust parameters. And of course I can adjust the Q up here if I want to, but then I can easily use a fader to adjust my plugin parameters. I can do this with any plugin I want, reverbs, EQs, compressors, whatever. Map the parameters down to the faders, and 1 button press and I'm back out. Now next time I come back to this track, hit plugin map, those parameters are still mapped to that location.